It was agreed that there would first be an objective to establish a bilateral meeting between Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin, at a location to be determined in the coming hours, which would be followed by a trilateral meeting with President Putin, U.S. President Donald Trump, and President Zelensky. I hope that all of this would be followed by a meeting that would include the Europeans and, moreover, the Turks, that is, all those whose security is directly affected by the continuation of this conflict. It was agreed today that we will work with the United States of America on the content of these security guarantees and the cooperation that each side is prepared to provide. I was able to go over again, this afternoon, on the content of these security guarantees, which consist of a robust Ukrainian army, which carries weight and can resist and deter any attempted attack. And so without limitations in numbers, capabilities, weapons, etc. And then, there are also reassurance forces at sea, in the air, and on land, that the Allies are ready to provide to Ukraine. I believe he, Trump, is convinced now, and President Putin has reiterated this to him. We have all reiterated this to him, that a peace treaty cannot be discussed for several days, or even several weeks, while bombardments are ongoing. He himself has repeatedly expressed a humanitarian desire to stop the killings and to stop what is happening to civilians, and so, in this regard, that there needed to be a truce. President Trump believes in his ability to reach an agreement, and he also believes that President Putin wants such a peace agreement. I welcome this and I want to believe in it after the meetings there were. But if this process were rejected, we also all agree that sanctions would have to be increased and, in any case, a stance would have to be adopted that would put more pressure on the Russian side to return to the negotiating arena. The discussion addressed the possibility that a result would not be achieved, the possibility that Russia would not sincerely want to engage in such a process. And, at that point, he signaled his willingness and readiness to impose what he calls primary and secondary tariffs, but which we, in fact, call sanctions. You have an American president, European presidents, and a Ukrainian president all wanting peace. For my part, I have the greatest doubts about the reality of the desire for peace on the part of the Russian president, because as long as he thinks he can win through war, he will do so. And his ultimate objective is to take as much territory as possible, to weaken Ukraine and to have a Ukraine that is not viable alone or is within the Russian fold.